for the final webinar in our fall series brought to you by the EdTech faculty at Canisius College. My name is Lauren, and I am the Associate Director of Graduate Admissions. Throughout the webinar, please feel free to ask any questions that you may have using the Q&A box on your screen. We'll also save time at the end to answer any additional questions. So now I'll hand it over to Ron so that we can get started.
All right, thank you, Lauren, and thanks everyone for attending. I know everybody's very busy this time of year with the holidays quickly approaching, so I really appreciate taking the time to spend about an hour with us and talk about some great EdTech technology. So in this webinar, I'm the director of the program at Canisius College, but I'm also a teacher actually at Clarence High School, which is right outside Buffalo, New York. I teach history to juniors in high school. So everything that I'm really showing you here can be used in multiple grade levels. Can be used from K through 12, can be used from teacher aspects only, really through student projects as well. So I'm really going to kind of showcase, hopefully, a lot of different aspects of how this can be used using Google Sites. I'm kind of excited. This is the first time I'm actually giving this webinar about this topic. We give a lot of different topics, but I really always wanted to do one on Google Sites because it's often something that's overlooked. We use Google Docs, we use Google Drive, but there's this wonderful tool out there to make free websites, which is sometimes underutilized. So I'm using this Google Doc. If you want to scan this QR code, you certainly can, or let me just go up here real quickly. Here's the tiny URL. So tinyurl.com/sites webinar if you wanted to join it that way. We'll also make sure we email a link to this document to you if you want it later as well, in case you didn't get any of these. So either this QR code or you can use this URL. I don't know if you can really see both at the same time, but let me just maybe make my screen a little smaller. You can. Let's see if I can do that really quickly. Yeah, so now you can see both. Okay, so I'm using this Google Doc. On this Google Doc, I've embedded a lot of videos that actually we use through the Canisius College EdTech program. So in this program at Canisius College, it's an online master's program where our students can get a master's degree being an EdTech specialist. We have students in all content areas from kindergarten through high school, teachers, all different grade levels, all different content areas who need their master's degree, and they're taking it online, really flexible. You can also take 1 or 2 or 3 courses and even earn a 4-course certificate. So I'll come back to that later, but I'm also going to put the recording of this session right here for you. So we're recording this session right now, and on this Google Doc is more information about our program. If you want to click on our website, a little video about the program that we made a few years ago. And here's a link to all the Canisius graduate programs. And these are links to our social media feeds, especially our YouTube channel. A lot of great videos there on how to use tons of technology. So if you want to check that out. And here is a hashtag if you want to use it, if you want to tweet some of these session ideas out. But here's what we're going to do in this particular session. Okay, so we're going to explore Google Sites from a lot of different aspects, really kind of walk you through how to use this great tool. And these are all different videos that I put on this Google Doc that we're going to go over today. But if you want to go back and view some of these videos, you certainly can. And that could be hopefully a great resource for you. Okay, so let's get started with all of this wonderful material. So Google Sites, what is it? It's basically a wonderful service by Google where you can create websites for free. Which is really, really nice. And they've really updated over about the past year, year and a half, to make it a really user-friendly experience. If you have any experience using Google Docs, you're going to definitely know how to do this. Even if you don't, it's really intuitive. The old Google Sites was really clunky and cumbersome, but they really revamped it in a really nice way. So how do I get to Google Sites? So right now, I'm at like the main page of Google Sites. I know it's hard to see that, but the website is just sites.google.com, sites.google.com. But if you really want to access it a different way, if you just go to your Drive, right? If you go to Google Drive, and you know in the upper corner here, you have your icon of what you're doing. You can just go to the waffle icon, okay? And let me just move this over a little bit. You can go to the waffle icon, right? And somewhere down there, to keep on scrolling, you will find Google Sites. Now, I'm using my personal account right now, so purposely I didn't have it showing. So if you don't see it, you're like, well, where is it? And you can go even more from Google, right? And then now you can kind of find a lot of their different products that they have here, like Chrome and Chromecast and all those wonderful things. And eventually down here, you'll get to all their apps that you can use to work smarter and so forth. And eventually you will find forms, and eventually you'll find Google Sites. That's why I wanted to do this with you. There it is, Google Sites. You can click on that. You can also kind of move that around and make it part of your icon tray. So if I click on it now, you're at Google Sites. So hopefully you'll find it in an easier fashion. I bet best way, just go to sites.google.com and then you'll be at that page. Okay, so that's what we're working with here today. So hopefully if you're following along with the computer, that's great. If you're not, you're just kind of taking notes and watching all this, that's fine too. I'm showing you a couple of different views here. This is my school account from Clarence, and I also have my personal account up here. So there's a few different sites I want to go through at different times, so I'll kind of toggle back and forth. So the easiest way to get started with Google Sites is basically hit the little plus button, which is very familiar if you're familiar with any Google products like using Docs or so forth. And you click that little plus button and you're going to make a brand new site. Okay, so it's kind of loading up here a little bit. And this is kind of like the main landing page. I'm going to have to get rid of this for a second here so I can work a little bit easier. And we're just going to kind of like navigate all over here. So it's very much like a Google Doc or a Google Form or a Google Slide. You can name your site right here. So we'll just call this for today, Canisius webinar, right? Tests our site. So we've kind of named it. And once we name it, it kind of pops up right here for you. And you can kind of see you can add a logo, which is kind of cool. So I can kind of select a logo. They might have, you can do a URL search. You can go through your albums. You can go right through Google Drive right here if you know you already have it on a Google Drive. But let's say you're not using Google Drive, and you can just go upload, right? And I can look at some of my pictures here. And I put some pictures in here ready to kind of get going today. So I'm just going to maybe make this my logo. I'm going to open it up, and now it uploads this as the logo for my new site. So there it says it. And even, which is really kind of cool, select a color to use for the theme. It kind of picked up the colors of the logo, and now you can make this the theme of your logo, which doesn't really look that great in this view, or you can make it this blue color. So it's kind of neat. It's very intuitive. It sort of looks at what you're using for design elements, and it kind of picks up on it. So here you can title your page, and we can keep it either as a title text. We can make it a normal text. We can make it a heading, subheading, and so forth. So you really can't change font sizes to a particular font type or a particular font size, but you can certainly change the different styles. We can do a title heading. I can again say like, Canisius webinar, right? Which is kind of nice, all right, which is fine. You can now change the header type. So this will be the header on this main page of your website. We're going to talk about adding other pages and really breaking this down a little bit. But I can go a header type. This could be a banner. It could be a large banner. It could be a cover. It could be a title only. So you really got some great options here, which is kind of nice. And you can even change the image of the background. If you want to make this image here have like a background image on it, you could. And this is kind of neat. They give you a lot of variety here. They have a whole gallery of different images that may or may not fit what you're using. So you can kind of use what they have, which is kind of neat. All right. So maybe, we're doing some technology today. So they had some stock photos here about like a tablet or something. So that would be like the background of our website. It looks really kind of nice. Or we can change the image certainly, and we can kind of add our own image. And we can kind of go, back around here. Here's our EdTech webinar, right? We sent this out in our email. I don't know how that would look. Doesn't look that great, but you get the idea. You can kind of change it to anything you want, all right? Which is kind of nice. Okay, so I can just reset that. So you got a lot of options there. Now, while I'm here, there's these themes. Okay, we're gonna go over all of this, but you have themes here, all right, where you can kind of select which colors you want to use. We're in the simple theme. You can kind of select the font style, like a heavy font or a classic font, right? Then you have these other themes, like this one, Aristotle. The colors change with each theme, and so do the fonts, but you can also select kind of your own color styles if you really wanted to kind of get into it. You can really customize this, and it has like all the hex codes if you're into like branding and what the numbers are for different colors. Diplomat and so forth, right? Okay, so you got some great, options here, impression, vision, and so forth. So you can really kind of go through all the different themes and get a great sense of what's out there. So that's how you kind of customize the look and feel of the site, mostly through using themes and also kind of uploading your own images or selecting the images that they have readily available for you. Okay, so that's where we are and kind of setting this up. All right, so it's kind of like the main page of your website. Now, after you kind of have that set up, you can go to insert and do a lot of other things. But let me kind of just pause for a second. So what can this be used for? I know a lot of us in the K-12 environment are using things like Schoology and Google Classroom. So maybe we really don't need a teacher website anymore because we're using a lot of like learning management systems, and maybe the school that you have has its own teacher website sort of program. That's fine. If that's the case, then you can use this a lot for maybe your own custom aspects you want to add, or for student projects. Have students create websites or work with them creating websites in all different subject and grade levels, right? If you don't use a learning management system like a Google Classroom, or if you do use Google Classroom, you can kind of use this as a supplement, or you can put links to all your assignments up here and really kind of make it your own teacher website. So there's a lot of functionality, a lot of flexibility of what you might actually want to do with this particular program. All right, so let's kind of build a little bit more. I'm going to come back to what all this is here in a moment, but I'm going to go to the insert function. Now, this is kind of like the other main area where you would really work from. And here you can kind of insert a text box anywhere on your website. You can insert images. We're going to talk about embedding like HTML, and you can insert from Drive. And they just added this, I want to say maybe about a month or two ago, where you can have now different layouts. Okay, so maybe we're going to do like this layout and see how it puts it all together for you, like a nice like slideshow would. Here we would add an image. Here we would click text. Here you have like multiple image layouts. I'm just kind of keep on adding them. It's building. Do you notice that it built it underneath? So as I added one, it built one underneath it. So if I wanted to kind of do this one again, I would just click it again, and now it built it underneath that, right? So you're kind of building it by, you know, segment by segment by segment. And you have all these kind of different layout functions, which are really kind of neat. So when you use a layout function, you can now just edit the text yourself, you know, test, you know, you can kind of make a little subtext here, Canisius, whatever. I'm just typing just to give you some examples. And now I can add something in this area. I can upload a file. I can add an image, something from my Google Drive. I want to embed a YouTube video right here. I certainly could. A Google Calendar or a Google Map, right? So you can do all these kind of different things, and it's already kind of laid out for you from the layouts. So just for example, we can kind of select an image here, and I can go to like my albums, or I can go to like Google Drive. If I select an image, it's going to kind of go to like my recent images, or I can kind of go into some other things that I'm working on here. I don't know what we got here. This is from a recent, actually this is from a, we hosted a Google Summit. So that's actually me right there, and some former Canisius EdTech students that we all kind of met up at a Google Summit that we hosted. So now we can crop the image, we can kind of uncrop it. We can actually add a link to that image. If you wanted to click on the image, it would go to another spot. You can replace the text, add a caption, and we could put a link, which is really kind of neat too. So as I already mentioned, right? So there's one example of that. Here, maybe we wanted to upload from your computer. Now here I can grab an image anywhere or a file anywhere from I'm using a Windows machine, but this was a Mac, be this the similar process, right? So I can grab like this Canisius pic, maybe over here, right? You think you get the idea, and I can add text down here. Adding a YouTube video is really nice because I can just go to, it does an automatic search. If you already know the URL, you can type it in. It goes to uploaded videos that you already have on your drive, which is really nice. So it can be uploaded videos to your drive, or it can be a video search. And I can just search Canisius EdTech, and I'm sure something's going to come up because all of our videos are public. And here is one of our videos from a few years ago. Cool, I'll just add that one. And now it puts a little thumbnail of that video right there on the screen, which is really kind of neat. So I think you kind of see what you can do with layouts. You can really have a lot of fun with that, all right? That doesn't mean you actually have to use it, but you certainly can. Now, while I'm here, you kind of see as I'm scrolling up and down, you can move sections anywhere you want if you want to adjust for that. You can also change a little bit of the color, background, and the emphasis. So this is the regular one. Maybe you want to emphasize this more, and you want to maybe emphasize this more. Now, these colors change depending on what theme you're in, right? So if I change my theme and I go to the simple theme, wow, that's really bright. And I can maybe make it like purple, which feels like I'm competing with Niagara University, which we never like to do that at Canisius, right? I make it blue or something. That doesn't look great, but you get the idea, right? So you can kind of like change, I duplicate it. You can change the emphasis depending on what the theme is, or even make an image, the whole background of a section. So you really got some nice ways to kind of really customize a website, okay? So that's kind of using we're back over here at insert. I was using layouts, okay? Now, there's a lot of things you can do though. So what I'm gonna do is show you an example though. Say this was our main page. We wanted to build content, but we can build sub pages. So if I go to pages over here, this is the home page. Sorry about that, I'm at my school still. I can now add a new link to another spot on the website, or I can add a new page. And I'm gonna name the page, I don't know, just examples, sub page. And I'll make it done. Okay, so it put it kind of underneath here. So here I was at my home now came up. So back at the, let me just go back to the home page. Okay, now you see this little sub page came up, right? So you're seeing you got your main page and I got a little sub page. So now I got a sub page. I could rename it anything I want it to be. I can change the titles, the text, and so forth, the headers, just like I did in the other page. But now I can insert other things, right? I don't have to use the layouts. If I wanted to just insert a text box, I can click on text box and a text box pops up. And I can now, change the size of that text box. I can move the text box around, okay? And I can add any kind of text I want to it, again, make it bold and do anything I want to do, a list. I can add a link there, that's fine. So rather than using layouts, I can just kind of layer it myself. I could then also do another text box, but maybe if it was really, small enough, I believe I can do this. I can move it up over here. So I kind of have it two text boxes on top of each other, which is fine. And I think if I make it small enough and I make this one small enough, I'll be actually able to kind of move it side by side. So see, now I got two text boxes side by side. So it's really a matter of playing around with the sizing and where you want to just kind of shift things around. But as you can see, it's not very hard. It's just kind of moving things around and doing that. Okay, so that's kind of fun. Okay, I don't know if anybody had any questions so far yet. I know I'm doing a lot at one moment. I can kind of pause briefly. Is there any questions so far? Everybody's pretty good. I don't see anything popping up on the screen here. Well, maybe a question. Oh, thank you very much, Thomas. I'm glad you're enjoying this so far. Okay, great. All right, so here we go. So kind of moving around. So you got a lot of great things here, right, for adding text boxes. Same thing here. I can just add an image. So if I click on image, I can select an image. If I go select, it goes I can do a whole URL search. I can search images right inside like Google Image Search, My Albums, Google Drive, you can grab it from, okay? So that's kind of nice, okay? You can grab stuff right from your Google Drive. And I'll talk about embedding in a little bit, okay? Now, you can also, you got a lot of other options down here as well that you can kind of play around with, okay? So there's a new thing that was added. It's called a button. This is kind of neat. Added me about a couple weeks ago, and I'm just going to call it like I'll call it Canisius EdTech program, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a link. So I have up here. Let me move this around a little bit because I can't see my. You can move it down here a little bit. I can't see my tabs. So here's our EdTech program website, right? We have information all about our master's program and what we're doing with students and great stuff. And I can go back to this now, my site that I'm working on, and I can put a link right there. And I go insert. So now there's this button, right? So if you click on this button, it will take you to the EdTech website, which is kind of nice. So you can add little buttons to take you places. It can also take you to different pages of the website. So you can kind of really branch off and do a lot of really kind of neat things. A divider just puts a line someplace. Again, if I want to put a YouTube video in a bigger box, it would just, I can search anything, Christmas because we're at the Christmas season. Okay, whatever the case may be. Great. The official music video by Chris Brown or Mariah Carey. That's always a popular one. All right. So let's not select them both. All right. So now we just put that on the website. Great. All right. You can change the sizing of the thumbnail if you really wanted to. All right. Or you can move it around and center it, or maybe add some text anywhere else you wanted to. So see how you can add that, which is really kind of neat. If you have a Google Calendar, it will actually select your Google Calendar. So these are all the calendars that I am using. This is my current calendar for my history students. All right. And now this calendar is on my website, and I go to the month view. I can change the viewing of it. So this is all the assignments that are coming up. So this is great for teachers, right? If you want to put your course calendar up there, if you're using Google Calendar as your course calendar, like I do, a map, it will embed a map in Google Maps, embed docs, slides, sheets, forms, charts, you name it. So rather than going through every example, I think you get the point that you can do a lot with the Google tools, Google Apps for Education and so forth, adding them to these sites. Now, I want to show you another thing though. I can also double click. Let me just do that again. I can double click anywhere. And this is kind of like a quick little way of doing things. It quickly adds an image. It quickly adds a text box. You can upload something like I would say like an image or a file that's not on Google Drive. You want to get it from your computer, from Drive itself, or embedding. I'll talk about embedding next, okay? So that's what you can do too, okay? Which is kind of neat. So I'm going to go back to pages, and I'm going to insert another page. I'm going to call this Embed Examples. This is kind of a neat feature, and it wasn't available last year, and it's making the new page right now. So I'm just going to add it up here. So now I'm in this one, Embed Examples. If you use a lot of different ed tech tools, or if you share anything out, oftentimes it might say share out an embed code or an HTML code, and it kind of, takes the difficulty of having to know how to program and use HTML, and you can kind of does it in an easier fashion. So I'll give you an example. So let's see. I got another question maybe? I can see having the students using the websites for interactive projects. Definitely. I'm answering it right now for you, Thomas. I'm going to show you some examples of what I do with my students in a moment, so you can kind of see that. But definitely, like student portfolios, projects, group work, which I'll talk about, because this could be a shared site, which I'll get to in a moment, okay? That's a great question. So here we go. So we have these embed examples, right? So let me go back to insert. Remember the top, we had it here, embed code, or if I double click, you'll say embed code. What does that mean? Well, I can put in a URL from a website, like just a regular link. Or if I click on embed code, this is kind of neat. Let me give you two examples. A popular ed tech tool that's used a lot is a tool called Quizlet, right? Where teachers can create vocabulary cards. Students can create their own vocabulary cards. They can go through different things that you make. There's a lot of games and so forth you can play. This is one I used to use with my AP US history students that I made a while ago. But if I go to Quizlet, if I click these little three dots, down here, there's the embed code. And there it is. It's actually kind of like, some HTML text. I do copy, but I can actually change the study mode. Let me just go to like flashcards. I'm going to copy that HTML. It's copy to my, and then I'm going to insert it. And what happens now, it kind of gives you a preview. I hope this worked. It worked the other day. Awesome. That's how it's going to look. So let me just go insert. And this is really kind of neat. So now students can actually use I can change the sizing on this. They don't have to even go to Quizlet. If you really want to have like an assignment or something, it was a particular unit you're working on, you want to put it all in one spot, they're going to go right here to Quizlet. That Quizlet vocabulary deck is embedded right on your website. That's, I think, pretty neat. I think that's super awesome. And you can do that with a lot of different aspects, anything you're using. One of the things I do a lot with my students is virtual reality in the classroom. We do a lot with Google Cardboard and 360 images. And I did a webinar last year about that, and we'll probably maybe do one again in the fall. But this is actually a 360 shot of my classroom that students were messing around with. This is exactly where I am right now. I'm live from this location. So I'm going to copy that HTML, that's that embed code, double click here, go embed, and boom, hit this. Now I got it. And now it's going to give you like the preview image. And now this is, here it is. Yep, that's what it's going to insert it. That's my classroom. And now you got these embedded codes. So you got some really cool things you can do, whether inserting other tools, other things you want to share for embed codes. So I think that's kind of neat. All right. So there you go. Now, one more thing. You see how they're all going across the top here? What you can also do is change this and have it be side navigation. See the little gears here? I can go to side navigation, and now all those different things are over here. So it depends where you want them. Home button, sub examples, or you want them to be a top navigation. I think another question popped up, didn't it? I don't know. Nope, maybe not. I think I'll just press done because then I'll know that we're good. I'm gonna press done here too. Awesome. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Bam. So now we got our website so far. How do you know how it actually looks? Well, there's always this kind of cool preview button. So if I hit the little preview button, and what it basically does is it puts it, this is a really neat feature. You want to know how your website's going to look on a computer, a large screen? This is what it's going to look like. If you want to know how it's going to look like on a tablet, you click this. Or how it's going to look on a cell phone, you click this. I think that's really great. It's a great sense, and Google kind of resizes it all for you. So there's like our cell phone look, and we can go to those like sub page that we did, right? Where I embedded some videos and I embedded my calendar, right? Or I can go to the full version. And now I'm in this embedded calendar. I can go to month view, right? That's my whole month view of my calendar. There's that Mariah Carey video. I can go to my embed examples. And this is exactly how the website will look from a standpoint of an actual user using your website. So here comes those embedded HTML. There it is. There's those embedded cards. They can click on all the Quizlet cards right here inside your website. And there's my classroom. There's some of my kids. I'm back there somewhere. I don't know what we're doing that day, but there you go. Having some fun as we always do. Okay, so that's kind of how the preview mode works. Okay, so there we go. I thought I saw another question pop up. Oh, Laura, great. How did you get the embed code off the sites? Can you do it one more time? Yeah, no problem, Laura. Thank you. I'm going to answer that live for you. So it depends on the site, and it's really, so if I was on Quizlet, it all depends on what site you're on. So I'm on Quizlet right now using my vocabulary decks that I made a while ago. And I know that Quizlet has that function. If I go to these little dots on Quizlet and it says embed, I can now copy that HTML. If I'm on Google, right, and I'm doing some Google searching, what I did for this one, let me just show you. I'm on Google Maps, and I know that if you know how to take Pegman will drag you around and give you street view images, or it'll give you a photospheres if there are any, and I have a photosphere. This might be another photosphere of my classroom. I don't know if that's mine or not, but I know this is mine. And I can drop Pegman, and I'm in my classroom. And this is another photosphere that we did a while ago. There I'm standing there, and we were playing around with Google Cardboard. So I can go into this one, hit the 3 dots, share the image, and it says embed the map. And then I just copy the code. But again, unfortunately, every site that you're at, or every tool, whether it be Quizlet or like Kahoot or whatever it is, has a different way of sharing embed code. So I can't show you everything, unfortunately, but that's the way it actually works. And you can kind of put those right on your website, which is really kind of neat. So I hope that answered the question for you. Will they all have the 3 dots to find it though? Yes, on Google Images. Yes. So a Google Map, or if you're doing anything on Street View, yes, it will. Okay, great, Laura. I'm so glad that worked for you. Awesome. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So that's how you see a previewed site. Okay, now, what are some of the other buttons here? This one's an important one, and this is the common icon we've seen over and over again of actually sharing a Google Doc or a slideshow with another person. So I can actually share this. If you know anything, if you're familiar with Google, you know this is kind of the same interface. That I can actually invite people to work on this website with me. And if I put their emails in there, it'll be great. I can change their privileges. They can only view it, or they can edit it. Published, anyone can find it, or I can also give specific people the chance to edit it. All right, so you can really do a lot with sharing this with other students. So this is what I do with my students, where I actually have them share out a website. I'm gonna give you some examples in a moment. All right, where I want them to actually work on a site together. So I'm going to cancel that out. We'll be done there. So this could be a collaborative project where students can all work on the same website all at the same time, just like you was a Google Doc. Gets a little confusing if people are moving text, moving stuff around. Maybe they all can work on their own individual subpage of a larger project. That might be the best way to do it so that it's not as confusing, working on one page at the same time. But that's a great tool for working with students. I think, Tom, you were kind of alluding to that in your question earlier. So hopefully that helped you out with that. All right. So that's a wonderful way. I'm going to show you some examples of that in a moment. Now, other things that we have here. These 3 dots, you can get the site analytics. How many people are seeing your site? You can duplicate your site, give it a custom URL. But what's important though is you might want to publish a site one day. So this is how you do it. So you press publish. It kind of takes the default website would be sites.google.com/view. And then it kind of puts this Canisius webinar. Okay. You can change this to make it your own custom URL. You can also do some custom URLs here. If you had your own domain, which you have to buy your own domain, right? And then you can manage who can view my website. Okay. Now I'm on my own personal Google account. But if I went to my school's Google account, which I'll show you, it automatically defaults this to a different website. And so there's some different settings depending if you're using your school's Google account, if you're a Google Apps Education School, or if you're just using your own personal one. But once you press publish, then you would copy that URL and it would be out there. All right. And then that's how you'd actually would share this site to make it a public site that can be viewed by anyone, or if you want to restrict it to only those in your domain. Okay. So what I want to do now is show you some example projects and things that we were working on. So I'm going back to this Google Doc that I shared out with you. Everything I just kind of did, I do it much more thoroughly, carefully in all these videos for you. Okay. So you can kind of go back and you look at all this stuff. But here are some projects that I worked on with my students. I'll give you some sample websites and some other things I can share with you. So here's an assignment that we were working on with my students. We were reading a book by a historian named James McPherson, and it's about the Battle of Antietam during the Civil War. And what we wanted to do is, we're reading that book, and we want to go find some great 360 photos that actually match historical photos that are easily found from the Civil War. I'll give you some examples. So my students went through all this, and what the project was for them was to actually build their website as a group, where they kind of researched the photos. They kind of really put together everything in their site, looking at historical photos and finding the 360 photos. And then we would eventually then view those 360 images with our Google Cardboard headsets. So this is all the directions that I did. Like I screenshot everything. I walked them through all the ways to find 360 photos, the 3 little dots that Laura was talking about, all that was on there, okay? Then I showed them how to build their site and how to do everything I just showed you how to do. I screenshotted all of it, and we modeled it in class together. And then out of that, here are some sample student websites. Now, let me explain why. They're all very militaristic. The reason why is because I teach a course in my high school on American military history, and my students actually get college credit for that course, actually through Niagara University. And it's a 3-credit-hour course. So in this course, we form groups, and these groups stay the same throughout the whole year, and they take on the identity of a real military unit in history. So this is their unit's website. This is all from students. They made their own little unit video, kind of a research project. And here is the project on taking Civil War photos. So I embedded a form. They had to embed a form where other students went to their sites. That's one thing I didn't show you. You can embed forms, which are great assessment tools. So if you want to make a Google form, you could put a form right on your website. And then they had all these different video. They had all these different shots. So they had like the historical photo. They had the map of where the photo was taken, a little bit of analysis of it. And they decided to make theirs as links. These are just links to the 360 photo. They could have embedded them, but they didn't. They just made them as links. And it worked out. It worked out completely fine. And this is taking a little bit to load up, but this is a 360 photo inside Fort Sumter in South Carolina, where this same image was taken in probably 1862 or so. All right. And they had this for all the different aspects of their photos. This is a really famous one, the Dunker Church, and then here's the image today of the Dunker Church. They could have, I wish they would have embedded it on the website. It's a little easier, but you get the same idea. That's the same church. There it is today, and there it is in the historical photo. So that's kind of was the whole point of the project, and they kind of did all that for this, okay, which was really kind of neat. So that was a really good example. Another one, got a lot of tabs up here. Let me close some of the stuff down. Another one example, a little bit of a different take on it. Same idea. They all have their own like regimental themes here. This was their homepage. They embedded their video that they made as a group about their regiment. And then here's the assignment that they made. And here you go. So they kind of built theirs a little bit differently. They have the image. Here's a 360 view. I think the reason why, here's the reason, you know what? I apologize. The reason why they didn't make them embedded is because when we did this last year, you couldn't do that. There was no embed codes last year for Google Sites. When they added it, I think this summer, I was super thrilled because it's going to change the way I do this project. Actually, I'll do this in a couple of weeks. So you can kind of see they had the same idea. Now they could put their 360 embedded images right next to their particular website, their particular image. So that'd be really nice. So you get a sense of a student project. Another use that I made it for was, kind of to help promote this ed tech program. I made a website that's not just, we have our, our main website, right, that the college puts together, and I could help edit this, but I wanted to showcase what we do as a program, that we have all these different certifications, like New York State certification as an ed tech, specialist. We also do like Google Level 1 certifications, Google Level 2 certifications. So I kind of wanted to showcase each of these. So I made this website to kind of showcase what we do as a program, just using Google Sites. And I thought that was really easy. I use the same color schemes that the college likes us to use, and it worked out really, really well. It was really easy. It's an easy thing that I can share out about our program. So that was kind of fun. Now, another thing that I think you'll hopefully, as a teacher, you'll appreciate this is that I made a website, and let me show you the finished website. Let me go back home here. This is my Subplan website. Okay, so we're all teachers here, I'm imagining, and you know how it is if unexpectedly you're sick or your child's sick and you gotta, how you gonna get your plans on your desk for that morning, right? Well, what I did was I made a Google site for my Subplan. So this is my Subplan site. It's going to be updated. I put the date. So I was just absent a little while ago. My daughter was sick, and I put my Subplans down as a Google Doc. And I just update the Google Doc, and here are my subplans for the day. They want to contact me. There's my email. They want my schedule. There's my schedule for the day. And I also put together seating charts. So here's the seating charts of my classes. We kind of are in a big circle. I have a lot of kids, but they're all absolutely awesome. And what I did was I just, on my desk, and I could probably show you, but I won't do it. On my desk, I just pasted the website URL, but also a QR code to the website, just like I did with this one, right? So now a sub could come in, they can scan the QR code with their phone or just type in the URL, and now they have my subplans. And that's always taped on my desk. I laminated it, taped it on my desk, and I'm good. No matter where I am in the world, for some reason I had to call in and I was sick or some family emergency came up, I can get my subplans in a really easy fashion. So I hope people would appreciate that, because I think that's a kind of a neat aspect. Okay, so those were some of the main things I wanted to hit on in terms of what we're doing. Let me make sure I hit everything that I wanted to hit on. I think I did. And I hope you'll check out this website more about our certifications, and hope you'll check out more about our program. Take one class with us, take 4, get a certificate, take 10 and get a degree, and even get certification as a tech specialist in New York State. So that would be great. So any other questions from the audience that maybe would like to share, or I can go over some aspects in more detail if anybody would like me to. If we have any questions here. Let me dismiss some of these. Okay, so Tom, do these classes count towards? Yes, they do, and Lauren will explain that in more detail. So what you did right now, oh, do the courses in our program do? Yes, the courses in our program, each course is equivalent of 45 CTLE credit hours. So it's a 3 credit hour course from the college's standpoint, but the classes themselves are 45 CTLE hours per class. That's a really great question. Can you make any of the pages private while sharing others? I believe you can. And let me just go in and double check that. I've never tried out that function, but I know I've seen it. So if I go back to my pages, and if I click on a page, well, even back here, I can move the order of my pages around. I forgot to show you that. But these 3 little dots, I can hide from the navigation. So you would see it. They wouldn't be public on the site. So hope that helps you. So I can hide it. If I did that now, see it kind of crosses it out, and I can now show in the navigation. Now it makes it available. So that's kind of one way you can do that. Okay, so hope that helped you, Nancy. I'm gonna close that out. Hope that made sense. Tom, I answered your question. Does this webinar count for CTLE hours? It certainly does, Laura. And you're going to get information from Lauren, our graduate admissions help here to get that settled for you. But we're going to mail out certificates for you. So yes, it definitely will. Great. You got your professional license. That's wonderful. So if you wanted to add on, if you still need, if you needed more of a degree, if you just want to take classes for credit, for CTLE credit, you certainly can. So great to talk to you, Tom. Please contact me at the top of that Google Doc. Send me an email, and we can chat or talk, and that would be fantastic. Nancy, I'm glad I got that. The subplan piece is so important. Thank you. Isn't it? It's a struggle, isn't it? And I actually always so frustrated. You got to email somebody, you got to call somebody, you got to text somebody. Now you don't have to do anything. You just do it yourself. Your plans are on your desk, and hopefully life is less stressful when those situations come up. Can you take a web page down? Okay, so yes, you can. It's a great question, Nancy. So if you want to take the whole thing down, let me dismiss this question. Basically, if I go to my, I think I can do it. I can do it here. Basically, if I publish the site, let's just publish this site for a moment. Okay, I'm going to publish it. Boom, now it's out there. Let's hope no one sees it because it looks pretty shabby, right? Okay, but now I can view the publish site. I can go by publish settings, or as you saw, the drop down, I can unpublish it. Yes, now no one will ever see the site again until you want to publish it. So yes, you can. That's a great question. Yeah, and I think what I was doing is that a little bit right now, Laura. Let me just kind of go back. So if I publish the site, okay, let me publish it again. Here is going to be the URL. So what you would do is you would just kind of copy this URL. One way you can do it. If I press publish, boom, it's going to say it's a published site. And now what I can do is here, the little drop down, I can say view published site. And it opens in a new tab. And now that would be like the URL that you would share out. So there's the home page, right? And you don't need this home author user stuff. All you need is basically from here on is what you want to maybe share with, your friends, your faculty, your students, whatever. That would be the URL. If I went back to the site that I was working on and I went to the publish section, it gives the URL there too, right? Oh, one thing I should mention, this is actually an important point, and thank you for bringing it up. You publish your site, you make some changes to it here. Those changes will not be viewed by the public until you press publish again. Okay, that's something that's really important, and I'm glad that kind of triggered my memory about that. So even though you publish the site, maybe you change some things around, maybe you add some content. If it's your subplans, you added a new Google Doc and you had it ready to go. Unless you press publish again, it won't show what you changed. That's why it's always kind of good to say publish and then go to the view the published site and actually see what it looks like. So you know that what you have is current and that is what you want people to actually see. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, Laura. How do you get the code? Do you mean the QR code? I think that's what you mean is the QR code. Okay, that's a great question. Okay, thanks, Laura. All right, now there's a lot of sites. If you just did a Google search, and we can do one right now, just do QR codes. All right, and there's a ton of QR code generators online, and they're usually kind of free. QRcodegenerator.com, whatever the case may be. But I like QRstuff.com. That's one I've been using for years. If I go to the site QR, oh, you know what? It is blocked by it got blocked 2 days ago by my school's filter, and I have to get the site approved again. I'm sorry, I'm on my school's Wi-Fi, but you'll see it. It's QRstuff.com, and you can just paste in the QR code, and basically it generates an image of that stamp for you, and then you just place that. Like I placed the image right here. I download the image and I just cut it out and put it on my desk so people can actually scan it. So that's how you get it. So if you just do a QR code search generator, there's a lot out there and they all work pretty well. So I hope that answers your question. Awesome. What I would do is what I did, and I don't know if I can show you this. Let's see if this would work. Since we're let me bring back my image. Can you see my image on the screen? Laura, can you see me? I think everybody can see me, right? I don't know if you can see me or not. I have this on my screen, so I don't know if you can see me or not. Maybe you can't see me, but I think I can actually change that, and I can do a new share. And am I sharing? Well, that's okay. I don't want to mess up the whole entire webinar here just because of this. All right. Let me see here. But basically, I think you got it right, Laura. So I basically put that on my desk. If you can see me, here is my desk.
Yes, we could see you.
All right, great. Thank you, Lauren. All right. Wow, this is getting complicated. Here we go. Can you see on my desk? Oh, this is hard to do. So there are my subplans on my desk. There's my microphone. So there are my subplans. It tells the URL, and there's the QR code, and that's how I did that. I knew that was going to be a popular thing when I showed that. This is something that came to my mind this past summer when I was using Google Sites, and I thought that was kind of a neat thing that was super easy to use for subplans. All right. Great. That worked out okay. Any other questions? This is a great group. I appreciate the questions. Any other questions, anybody? I'll be happy to answer any more. And then we'll be pretty good. If not, I really appreciate it. Again, you can always get a hold of me at this, I'm going to change this because this isn't the number I use. This is the number to the college. This is my direct number, 245-5351. If you want to get a hold of me or send me an email, my email is right there. Be happy to answer any other questions. I'm going to put a video of this recording here eventually. Give me about a week or two. Looks like we had another question. Thank you very much. It was very helpful. I really appreciate it, Nancy. Thank you. Thank you for attending. And I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Well, if there aren't any other questions, in a few days, everyone will receive a emailed certificate of completion for this webinar. I'll also include Ron's contact information, so that way if you didn't have a chance to write it down here, I'll put it in that email. And if you do have questions, you can always respond back to that email. It'll come through from Graduate Admissions, or I can always forward those questions on to Ron. But we just want to thank you so much, Ron, for doing this today. And we'll see you for the next, hopefully, webinar for our hopefully spring series.
We certainly will. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it.